and from Scroggin Travel. I have already had so many people coming on, looking at the site. Seems like you guys absolutely love it. And quite a few people have been asking me already to help them know how to get started with Italian citizenship. So just to be clear, we're on the very front end of this. We're moving, right? Like, it's not at the very, very beginning, but I'm trying to kind of walk you through the different steps as we go through the process. So those of you who are Italian Americans who maybe want to have dual citizenship for yourself and or for your children will kind of know where to get started. So today is part 1. It's just about research. That's the most important thing that you're going to need to do before you get going. Okay, so today is all about research and knowing your family tree. Okay. The first thing that I want to tell you is the people who we are working with, the lawyers are fantastic. Their name's Coco Ruggieri, COCORUGGERI and Associates. They are fantastic. I highly recommend. I will drop their information in. I have been working with Alina, who is fantastic, so responsive. Everything about them has been fantastic. And basically, you have to have an Italian lawyer to kind of work on your behalf if you want to get citizenship in a relatively, I wouldn't even say quickly, who knows? I'm like, I don't know how long it's going to take, 100%. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to get started on it one way or another. So they're who I would recommend, Coco Ruggieri, fantastic. The first thing that you're going to do after you match up with them and tell them that you're interested is they're going to give you they're going to send you a piece of paper that's called a family questionnaire. And in this family questionnaire, you are going to need to know details of your family members. So this is important for you to know. This video has been made in January of 2025. At the end of January 2024, a brand new rule started to get put into place regarding Italian citizenship. My guess is that there's so many people from around the world who are interested in regaining Italian citizenship that they're trying to kind of get control over that, which is honestly a good thing for Italy, to have people want to be able to want to return to the homeland. But here's the thing. One of the rules that they have is you can't go back more than 3 generations. So it's important for you to know that, like, if the person you're going to go through is your great grandmother, you probably can't go much further back. Okay. Now again, make sure you talk to Coco Ruggieri. They might know information that I don't know. This, as far as I can tell, this information is still changing and modifying. The law is still changing. But that's one of the first things that I would tell you is that you're really going to do better if you have a parent who had Italian citizenship, not was born to Italians in America, right? Because the minute that you were that person was born in America, they became Americans. Okay, so when we're looking at it, we're looking at people who are born in Italy, who then moved to the United States. Okay, because you're naturalized the minute that you're born here. So if you have a parent who was born in Italy, if you have a grandparent who was born in Italy, so see, that's the situation for me. My great-grandparents were born in Italy. They moved to America like 6 months later. My grandmother's born, okay? So, but she doesn't count. She doesn't count for the new rules. And then you've got my great-grandparents, Santos and Patricia, and they are the ones who were both born in Italy. So that's how I can go back 3 generations on mine pretty cleanly and be able to get to my information. I was very lucky because on the whole, we knew some information. My dad remembered his great-grandfather, remembered his name, remember what he went by, knew where he lived, remember his great-grandmother's name. So we were able to do a decent amount of tracking. Plus, for my 40th birthday, I think I told you in another film, I had moved to, we had gone to Bissaquina to go and see the original place. And so I had already done a decent amount of research, but nowhere near the depth that I had to be able to get into. So here's the thing. In order to find that depth, you're probably going to have to pay for an Ancestry.com membership, right? How long you keep that thing is up to you. You can do it month by month. It might take you a whole lot longer to start digging through things. But I would honestly suggest the first thing you need to do after you get this family questionnaire is you need an Ancestry.com membership so that you can start digging in and trying to find your people. In many ways, I found connections like through a tombstone that someone else had taken through Santos's, like they were just randomly taking pictures of tombstones, uploaded it. There's so many people that are interested in genealogy. There's even people in my family line, because my situation's again a little bit weird, because my second cousin, my grandmother's first cousin, is Frank Capra, the very, very famous producer of It's a Wonderful Life. Because that's them, I think there's a little more out there than what exists for some other people, because people have researched the line. I don't know. But anyway, the point is that I was able to use things like birth documents, death documents, marriage certificates. I was able to find my great-grandfather's citizenship form that literally had the number on it that we need to have. You don't have to have it, but it would really, really help if you have anything like that. So what are they going to look for that you need to make sure that you can find information about whoever your contact person is? You got to have last name, any kind of maiden name, which I didn't realize that mine was Spitali. My great-grandmother's maiden name was Spitali, Spitale, if there's any Spitalis out there. Patrizia, where she was born, so it was really not that hard to find. What I have found in Italy is they're going to say the region. Like, very rarely do they tell you the actual town. So like she was like Palermo. I doubt very seriously she was from Palermo, but that was the region. Was able to find her birth date. That seems to be very important. So the more that you can dig in and find the date of birth, the better off you're going to be. If you can find a marriage certificate, didn't find one on mine, didn't seem to be a problem. When and where arrived in the USA is another big one. So here's the thing that I was able to find for my great grandfather. So random, right? I was able to find his naturalization certificate. Again, online through Ancestry.com. And on that certificate, it says where he was naturalized, which is Gary, Indiana, which is so random. When he was naturalized, which was November the 11th of 1945. And then his actual certificate number. I think that having that information really added validity to the claim. But here's the problem. When my grandfather comes, he renounces citizenship. Now, this is a weird thing start to get weird here in 2024 because you're really going to have to ask the lawyers at Coco Ruggieri, do the new rules apply to you if renouncing of citizenship happens, and can they, what happens, and yada, yada, yada. You need to ask them that sort of information. But here's the weird thing that we find out. There is no renouncing of citizenship for my grandmother. There's no naturalization certificate. My guess is she probably never worked at like a job where she had like tax forms. My guess is she probably got paid under the table to do something, and that's how she made money, or she helped with the family or whatever it was. But she did not have any forms that show that she was not still an Italian citizen. Okay, so I know the day that she died. I know where she died. All of this I was able to find at Ancestry.com, which is extremely important. So here's the thing. What Coco Ruggieri is going to ask you to do is find as much of this information about your people as you can. As much as you can find about anybody going backwards, too. So if you can find, like maybe you can find some stuff on your grandmother, but you can't necessarily find a lot on your great-grandmother or your great-grandfather, they have way better resources than we do. Okay, so they're in this business. So they're going to be able to go and do that. But I would highly recommend, that's your first step that you need to do. You need to know things like first name, city of birth, birth dates, if you can find any marriage certificates, any death certificates, when and where they arrived, if you can find a naturalization citizenship, any of that stuff is going to be really very helpful when you are looking around on Ancestry.com. The more that you have, the better. And that's really your first step. So once you've got that form all the way filled out, I literally have it from my dad all the way to my great-grandfather, just to kind of show those lines, because I can show them throughout, right? I can very clearly show them how I am connected to these people. And so all of that is filled out. And so then I was able to send it back to them, and then they were able to come back to me and say, hey, great news. Through Patrizia, you are eligible to get this Italian citizenship. So let's get the process started. So I think that's the first thing I would tell you is you've got to do your research before you even start this process. And the more you know, the better off you're going to be. And honestly, the more connected you're going to feel to the country, to the location, to the cities when you go to visit. Like, I think it's important. The other thing that is a good thing for you to know is that if you do get your citizenship through these lines, right, through these third generation lines and above, your children are also eligible for citizenship. Okay, so they can get that. Even your adult children. Okay, and that's important because what's going to happen is as these rules begin to change, it's going to make it harder and harder for any of your adult children to get their citizenship. So if you get in, they can get in. It costs a little more money for them to get their certificates too, but it's important for you to know. And then basically what happens is if you do end up moving overseas, whoever your partner is, they end up having to kind of go through the naturalization, green card, whatever you would call it, kind of process that they have in Italy. But you and your children will have that citizenship and those 2 passports. I'm not sure how long in the world we'll be allowed to carry 2 passports, but I figure having 2 passports will never hurt me long term. So that's where I would say you need to start. I would 100% recommend Coco Ruggieri. They've been fantastic. Alina in particular has been unbelievable. And you've got to have somebody that's willing to go in, do the research, and do the crazy Italian paperwork. My process right now through the whole thing is around $6,000, which is well worth it. And then I believe it's around $1,000 for each one of my adult children. My children who are under 18. They all go in free. So nothing, no issues with that. But I wanted to make sure that I kind of got you started on this process. Don't worry, there will be more videos coming up. I'm sure that at some point at the end of this, I'll be able to have a card that will show you where to go to the part 2 and part 3 of this. But how to get your Italian citizenship as an American, you have to start by knowing what your ancestry is. And to me, even though I'm not sponsored by Ancestry.com, would love to be, but even though I'm not, I would start there.